People always ask of how is it being a lawyer and on the road, and I'm like, it teaches you skills that you can apply to your clients. You're going to be put in very uncomfortable situations. You're going to be out of your comfort zone, and you have to figure it out.
All right. So, welcome to the You Are a Lawyer podcast. Brian Dixon, how are you?
I'm good. How are you doing?
I am doing really well. I found you from a LinkedIn post, and I think that that's phenomenal.
I was so happy that you found me. I'm new in my LinkedIn posting journey, and you reached out, and it was like, okay, wow, like LinkedIn is a real tool.
Oh, yeah.
Um,
Yeah, I think LinkedIn is a lot of fun for lawyers because they have so many tools that are automatically kind of geared towards
mhm.
marketing. And then their algorithm is pretty good with sharing stuff with the right kind of audience based on what's in your profile or what's on your resume. So,
Yes.
yeah. All right, cool. So, Brian, would you talk to the audience about what you are doing right now with your law degree?
Yeah, so I am at the surface level, a typical transactional corporate business lawyer. And I've been doing that now for about a year and a half. I absolutely love working with new businesses, solopreneurs, and very, very early stage startups. The little twist is though, Kyla, is I am traveling the world while doing it. So I have built my firm while traveling abroad for the majority of the last 2.5 years.
Okay. Yeah, that's a little, yeah, you kind of buried the lead there. That's a big twist.
Yeah, sorry to just throw that in there.
Okay. No, I'm just going to dig deeper now.
Yes,
So, you work for yourself right now. Is that correct?
completely.
Okay.
Yes.
So, what did you do right out of law school? What made you decide to become
Mhm.
an entrepreneur?
I'm a third generation attorney, right? So my grandfather, my father, and my uncle were all litigators. They mostly were insurance defense. Um, my dad branched off from his dad's law firm and he created his own little boutique defense firm. Represented some grocery stores in our area, Tops Market. If anybody's from upstate New York, you'll recognize that name. And then, yeah, they took insurance companies, took the occasional plaintiff work, real estate, but mostly was an insurance defense firm. Um, and that's where I started off out of law school for about 1 year.
So, you grew up watching your dad as a lawyer, knowing about your grandfather as a lawyer. Is that what drew you to become a lawyer?
For the majority of my life, yes. And then believe it or not, I was in college, I was an athlete, and I was just like, you know what, school's not for me. I came out of law school, I took a sales job, indoor sales, cold calling 300 people a day, and it is what everybody pictures it being. After about grueling, after about 3 months, I woke up one day, I looked at my parents, and I was like, I'm done. I'm quitting my job today, and we'll figure out the rest later. You'll see that's kind of a theme, Kyla, is I make decisions with the information I have, and then we deal with it later. So yeah, and then that kind of pushed me back towards law. My parents were like, it's a great education to have, even if you don't want to practice law. It teaches us skills that are so valuable across so many different areas of life and professions. So I went to law school and it just clicked. It really did. It fit the way that I thought. It was just a natural fit. So I fell in love with it.
Okay. Brian, you're licensed in New York and Colorado. Which state
Correct.
did you go to law school in?
New York. I went to
Okay.
University of Buffalo, and that's where I
Okay.
graduated from in 2018.
Okay, cool. You said Buffalo, that made me smile because I'm in Ohio and we just had a
Yes.
week of like negative 10 degrees. It was terrible.
I know my parents are in Cincinnati. My sister relocated there. She and her husband with their family, and so my parents moved, and my mom called me. She's like, "Brian, it's like I'm back in Buffalo. Like, what is going on here?"
Yeah, it's been absolutely terrible. And you, of course, are not enduring any of this because you're currently in Bali.
I am currently loving the summer life in Bali. Yes, it's absolutely incredible, and Kyla, it is something that everybody can attain. Like I hear that, people say, "Oh, I'm jealous of this. I'm jealous of your life, this or that." And what they don't realize is it is so, I don't want to say easy because it's not easy by any means, but it is so attainable for everybody if they are willing to make some changes.
Yeah. Well, the problem with saying it's easy is that change is really hard for lawyers. You
Oof.
know, like you would think change is hard for most people, but there's something about going through law school, taking the bar, and you're just like, I've made all these expensive decisions. Why would
Mhm.
I change my mind now? And this podcast exists because I'm all about taking the risk. It's like
Yeah.
we know how to mitigate the risk. So that should make you
Yes.
riskier.
Yes. 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 And also like all those worries that people have about I spent money on law school, I have this degree, I have this job status, this job title. Like you don't have to give any of that away, right? You can 100% be a lawyer, travel the world, take clients, and really live your life, not to get too cliche, but live your life on your own terms. Like somebody on LinkedIn posted the other day, she's like, write your own rules, right? And as lawyers, we love rules and we like writing. So why not write your own set of rules?
Yeah, I love that. Write your own rules. So, Brian, to everyone that's listening or watching on YouTube, thanks for watching. Hey, you got to tell me whether or not you like the term digital nomad, because to me, a nomad is like a wanderer, a person who has no foundation. I don't think that's what you're doing. I think you are completely running a professional business. You just
Hmm.
happen to not be in a traditional setting.
Yes.
And traditional meaning regular house, regular apartment in the US, right? Who says
Yes.
we have to grow up and only stay in the US? So, how do you feel about the term and the phrase being a digital nomad?
I was so resistant to it at first. I was so resistant to it. Everybody hears digital nomad and they probably think, okay, I need to be an Instagram influencer or I need to be an article, copywriter. I need to be a digital marketer. Um, but it really does fit. And to answer your question about everybody looks at it as it's an unstable life. There's no foundation. Um, I tell people all the time, I am able to be the best version of myself because I feel at home on the road. Um, I have I have truly, truly found my tribe outside of the U.S. and it's with like-minded travelers who, like yes, do we love seeing beautiful new places? Absolutely. But like what I had just had this conversation last night with a new traveler, and I was like, you'll come to find on your journey that your favorite places are connected with your favorite people that you've met. And so I have a really amazing foundation of friends that I have met while I'm traveling abroad. And that's what gives you the foundation. And then also, like, there's no difference between somebody running a solo law firm in New York, doing the 9 to 5, doing, having the house, having the family, you know, and that's amazing too. Like, I'm not here to say one life is better than the other. Each has their pros and cons. You just have to decide which pros and cons fit your life the best. But my client base is it's getting to be, I'm a year and a half into this iteration of myself as a lawyer. And it's solidifying, and so the work is solid and the foundation is there. My foundation looks no different than any other solo law firm.
Yeah, except for you don't have the negative degrees outside.
Yes, and a little perk here because I know us lawyers love money. My overhead way lower.
Mm,
I don't I don't have to pay for that office. I don't have a staff that's growing. I bring other lawyers in on projects that I need help with. I bring in support staff when I need help with it. But my expenses can really be, besides the fixed cost for our research platforms and other tools that we use, my cost can be as high or as low as I want them to be in a given month.
I love that. I absolutely love that. So you're talking, and you know what I keep hearing? I keep hearing the word and, right?
Yes.
Because often when you grow up, it's what do you want to be? It's one thing.
Hmm. Hmm.
And you're showing
Hmm.
us, well, I can be this and I can be a lawyer
Yes.
and a digital nomad. I
Yep.
can help other lawyers and live in Bali. I can have a connection to my family and not live in the States. Like,
Yes.
it's like it just sounds like abundance.
And it is, and I have a couple of sayings that are truly becoming my ethos. Is one is things never have to be mutually exclusive. Never. People that know me that my family is probably the most important thing in my life, right? It's you speak of foundations. My family is the foundation of who I am. I have a sister in the States. I have a niece and a nephew that are, they're my soul. And I'm extremely close with my parents. And living this life that gives me such fulfillment allows me to, whether it's on FaceTime or whether it's when I'm home for a month at a time, it allows me to be the best version of myself for them. Whereas if I was running a traditional law firm in the States, quote unquote traditional, um, then I wouldn't be as happy as I am and I would be miserable when they were around me. And who is that benefiting?
Yeah, that doesn't sound like a good trade off to me.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, Brian, you've been running your own business for a year and a half,
Yes.
and before then, you worked for someone else for a year.
Let me jump in there. So, yes, I've been working for myself now for almost 3 years, 2021. 20, when was the pandemic? 2020. The summer of 2020 is when I quit and went freelance. Um, and ever since then, I've had long-term clients, I've had short-term clients, I've had just project-based work. Um, and it actually, I started off doing copywriting. Um, yeah, I was, you know, once I realized that I wanted to travel, I was like, okay, how do I make that work? And I did copywriting. I actually like took paralegal work, like I was able to kind of, say, this is the dream that I want to do. How do I make that happen? And at the time I was in litigation still and remote work just really wasn't, it wasn't a thing. Um, and so I did that for about a year and a half, 2 years. And then yeah, after 2 years, I was able to get some experience in business law and I was able to make that transition.
Okay. So you actually gave me everything I was digging for. I was trying
Okay.
to see when it happened, or like, did the pandemic push you to like want to do more or what? Um,
Yes.
but if you don't mind sharing, what was the decision like when you told your parents, like, I'm gonna stop doing this and become a copywriter? Hey, dad, the
Yeah.
lawyer, I'm not doing this anymore.
Oh, it's funny you bring that up. It's funny you bring that up. He didn't care. My parents have always been amazing at my sister and I saying this is what we want to do, and they're like, go do it. Right? I don't think they would have cared if I would have been, a shoe salesman. Um, they just want to see their kids happy, and it's such a blessing that my sister and I have grown up in a household like that. So yeah, the only thing that my dad said is he became quite successful in his career, and he was a mediator at the end, and he's looking and he's seeing me. My first freelance job I took was writing articles for $10, um, and they would take me like two hours, so that's like $5 an hour, and he's just like, what is going on, and so that was hard for. Yes, yes. Um, and and bless my mother, she was just like, Michael, he has a vision and it's not our job to get in the way. It's just to be here for him. And yeah, so it just started there. I started grabbing some one-off jobs with like a litigation firm and like just drafting pleadings and doing the work that normal attorneys either don't have the time for or know that is not valuable to their either bottom line or quote unquote billable hour.
Okay, I love that. So supportive family, supportive base, but
Yes,
you still had to make the decision. A lot of times people think this podcast is not all about leaving the law. It's just about what else you can do because you're
absolutely.
always going to have that legal background, right?
Always.
So, what was the decision like for you to be like, okay, am I just unhappy or do I know I can
Hmm.
do more or do
Hmm.
I just want to stretch the limits? Like, how did you finally decide enough was
Yeah.
enough?
In America, compared to the rest of the world, I've learned we don't have the culture of travel necessarily as much as Europe. It's not, the parents in Europe really do a good job of saying to their kids, go do life, like go see it, experience it, and then the real world will always be there for when you get back. So I was actually studying for my third bar exam because as a lawyer, you're taught if you aren't satisfied, go chase that next milestone. Go after that next accomplishment. And it's going to sound really, I guess, naive, really simple, but I listen to instrumentals when I study, and I just kept seeing, on YouTube, the pictures that were associating or put up with, the instrumentals had beautiful pictures. And I was like, oh, like, I want to look at that professional photographer who took that. And so I started searching for like the people that were given the credit for this, and they're people just like you and me. And that blew my mind. I'm like, wait, so you can travel? Like you can go live in different countries? Blew my mind. And so I started digging and I was just like, I don't know if I'm gonna like it. I and it wasn't even necessarily to fill that void, but it was just let me see something different, right? Because when you go do something different, you can't help but at least have a little bit of difference in your perspective in life. You just see things a little bit differently. Um, and so, yeah, I freelanced for a year and a half before I actually took my first trip. Um, my initial goal was to save up for a year to 2 years of travel, which is doable if you make the right decisions in your life and cut out, that Netflix subscription or, that just like the useless, not useless, but just like the mundane costs every day. And so yeah, I landed in Italy, and after a couple of weeks, I was hooked. I was like, this is incredible.
So the lawyer in me is over here celebrating because I love that
Yes,
you did the research,
yes.
right? Like, how
Oh,
ironic is
yes.
that you're studying and listening to instrumental music, and there's a picture of a travel destination. You research the photographer, you find the destination, you decide to take a trip. You go to Italy as a test run. As you keep
Yes.
doing research, you save up the money. Like,
Mhm.
all of this is research. All of this is like lawyer type skills. I mean, I'm sure your parents taught you how to be responsible too, but I keep
Yes,
thinking about like, how do you prepare for the bar exam? Well, you talk to people who've done it and then you go do it.
yes,
And that's what you're
yes,
doing. You're taking all the steps, you're making one choice after another.
yes. And the one thing I would say is our ability and desire to research is both a blessing and a curse, right? Because we we want information in order to make a decision, right? Calculate the risks versus reward. But we have the habit of looking for that perfect answer. Like we've all gone down that rabbit hole on LexisNexis or Westlaw where we have a good enough answer in the case law that we found, but we're like, let me keep looking to find that perfect case. And then you turn around 5 hours later and you're like, where am I? Um, yes. So I would say, for people that are interested, yes, do your research. But at the end of the day, the best thing you can do is tell people you're going to go do it and buy that ticket. My travel style is very much, I pick a region of the world. I know I'm going to be there for 4 to 6 months. I buy the ticket and I plan my first 2 or 3 weeks of accommodation. Um, and then when I'm there, do I like the place I'm at? Yeah, okay, let's extend it. Do I not? No, okay, move on. Find the next place. And that's what I would say is yes, research, get your information, feel comfortable with the decision. But once you know it's a good fit, just make that decision. Take the steps that you need to.
I love that. I'm from Ohio. I went to undergrad in Ohio, then I went to law school in Louisiana. And the whole time I keep telling myself, if you hate Louisiana, you can always come back. You can always go back to
Yes.
Ohio. You can always.
Yes.
I had never considered thinking about that even for like the States and international travel, right? I've used my passport twice.
We're gonna
I
change
went,
that.
I know, I went to Cuba in 2017, and
Oh, so
then
cool.
2 Decembers ago, 2022, I went to Paris for Christmas.
Ooh.
And it was amazing. And so I'm actually going to Belize this summer. So
Yes.
I'm using it. I'm using it. My husband loves
Yes.
to travel. He's from Ghana.
Okay.
And so he's like, if he's not somewhere at like 3 months out of the year, he's like, what's happening? This is a slow year. I can't. He likes to be out. Which is incredible though, because like I have a 3-year-old and we're trying to
Hmm.
teach her to go beyond us. Like I was in college, I think, when took my first plane ride, and she's already been on 2 planes, and then this will be her first international trip. So we're trying to like,
I do meet parents who have little ones on the road. There's actually a London-based lawyer, Simone Ritchie, who she brings her kids to Bali every summer. And it's the exact same mindset as she's like, my husband and I love the world of travel. We think it teaches you incredible experiences and it's a great education. Um, and so, yeah, they want the kids to see the world and get an education that you can't get in the classroom. Um, so I love that you're doing that for your little one. It will pay off, and not that you have to do everything for a payoff, but just how enriching it will be for their life is amazing.
yeah, absolutely. Even for us, because I don't speak French, but I went to
Hmm.
Paris with 2 friends and we were like, we're gonna figure it out. And there's
Yep.
something about being there and knowing you can figure it out. That was really nice.
Yeah, and people always ask, like, how is it being a lawyer and on the road? And I'm like, it teaches you skills that you can apply to your clients. And what you just said is okay, you weren't a native speaker in Paris, but guess what? They have Google Translate. They have other tools that you can use. And at the end of the day, nobody's there to help you. Um, and you're going to be put in very uncomfortable situations. You're going to be out of your comfort zone and you have to figure it out. And so it's given me the ability to turn around and confidently say to clients, I don't know. I haven't done this before. Let me figure it out for you. And if it's a time sensitive topic, then okay, let's go find the subject matter expert on that. If you can give me a little bit of time, I can figure it out. And at the end of the day, if you can't, then the best thing you can do, whether you're located in Bali or whether you're running that New York law firm, is to say to your client, like, I gave it my best shot. Here's what I've got, but I'm not 100% confident in it. Let's go get some help.
Hmm. Yeah, I love that. And that is exactly the hardest thing for lawyers to do is to
Oh,
say,
is it
can
ever?
I get some help?
Yes. Yes. But if there's one thing that you truly learn being a fish out of water on the road is you need to ask for help. You do. You need to rely on other people around you, and whether that's, hey, how do I get from here to here? Or whether that's like with fellow travelers, hey, I'm really, in my feels today, missing home a little bit. They all understand, right? So you need to really learn how to lean on your community. Um, and it does, it just teaches you a lot of humility.
Yeah, I love that. So, Brian, I want to talk a little bit about what kind of led you back to the law. What led you
Yeah.
back into, okay, I have
Hmm.
this skill set, but I enjoy writing, but freelancing is cool.
Hmm.
I bet I could help people.
Yeah. So I never thought after I went the freelance and did copywriting and all that, I never thought I was going to practice law. Litigation wasn't a good fit. Everybody knows it takes a certain person to be a litigator. And you have to represent your clients zealously, as we like to say in our business. But yeah, in 2021, I headed over to Ukraine to volunteer at an animal shelter. Um, and it was run by a former military veteran from the UK military, and he went and he pulled the animals out of the hard hit areas. I went over for 2 weeks just to work with the animals, and he had some issues coming up, and I was like, I can help with that. I have this skill set that you're free to use. And 2 weeks turned into 2.5 months. And that gave me the insight that, hey, like, here's a niche where you can work with somebody who I compared to a startup, right? He was learning it on the fly. We were getting the charity set up. We were putting together formational documents and contracts. And I was really able to work one on one with a founder. And I was just like, this is so much fun, right? It's not telling somebody no all the time. It's telling them, here's your goal, here's the law. Now let's intertwine the two and figure out how to get it done. Um, and so I fell in love with this area of law. And so yeah, ever since then it's been off to the races.
Okay. What does it mean to be a business lawyer for startups and to work with startups?
Yeah, so I really enjoy working with very early stage, right? So before they're even a corporation or an LLC. So I'm helping them with their formational documents. I'm doing the initial, like, this is your product. Okay, is it going to be compliant with the laws and regulations? Do you have a potential client? Let's sit down. Let's see what your client, contract's going to look like, your customer contract's going to look like. Do we need a terms of service? Do we need a privacy policy? All that fun stuff that founders don't, even think about. And the smart ones, they think ahead and they say, okay, legal compliance is going to be important for the future of my business. What do we need to do?
Hmm. I love that because even if you have someone who is at least like familiar with the terms,
Mhm.
they still probably don't want to do it. Or why not just hire an expert like you to do it without me fumbling through?
Yes, and and when us, business or startup lawyers are lucky, we have clients that have that foresight. A lot of them see legal as an unnecessary upfront expense, without realizing that it can save them a ton of money down the line. So yes,
Gotcha. Love that. All right. So, Brian, I have one last question for you.
yes.
So, the audience of this podcast is mostly law students, like 3Ls,
Hmm.
and then young lawyers, so 5 years
Hmm.
practicing or less.
Hmm.
And what would you say to them about what they can do with their law degree?
Anything and everything that you want.
I did not
Um,
pay him to say that. Thank you.
I just spent 3 months out in LA. I went out there for a startup. It was a product launch, and he realized that lawyers have a good way of figuring out problems. On the fly, we can assess risk, we can move forward. So my client actually, he asked me, he said, "Hey, can you stay out here, help me run operations, kind of build a sales network, a client base, do the R&D." And so if that doesn't show you what you can do with a law degree, I mean, it's everything. It's our way of thinking through problems and coming to a clear solution for our clients. It, it's priceless. And I would also say you can go travel the world and live wherever you want and practice law. Young lawyers, it's the world of law is finally changing, and more remote opportunities. There's more a little bit open-mindedness to flexible work in law firms. And if you really want to do it, then do it. Whether that is just working from home, taking care of your family, or it's traveling. I love both. If you're happy, with that family sitting still, love it. Let's get you some more flexibility in your life. If you want to see the world, love that even more. It's near and dear to my heart. But yeah, you can do anything and everything that you want.
Yeah, I love that. That's such a good answer. Any and everything you want. Well, Brian, you have to let me know next time you're in the States. We just moved
Yes.
from Cincinnati. We were there for 7 years.
Okay.
So I'm really familiar.
Yes, I'll let you know. I should be there in the summer, so I'll let you know. We can meet up and maybe we'll have an updated to the legal digital nomad adventures.
Well, Brian, thank you so much for sharing with the audience. I know they are going to love it, and this will challenge them to think outside of the state and the country. Okay,
Yes, I hope it starts a new wave. We need more lawyers on the road. It's a
absolutely.
growing community, but it's there. So come check us out.
I mean, all over the world, there's problems, and if there's problems, you need a lawyer.
100%. 100%.
All right, Brian, bye.
Bye. Thank you.